The transport ship landed with a loud thud on the crystal platform. Marcus Kane stepped out first, his black military boots clicking against the strange blue surface. Behind him came 11 other humans, all wearing the same dark combat gear. They carried their weapons and supplies in heavy bags. The Altarian guards stood watching them. These aliens were tall and thin, almost twice as tall as the humans. Their skin looked like clear glass with light moving inside it. They wore fancy white robes with gold threads. Their faces showed no emotion, but Marcus could feel their dislike. "Welcome to Altair Prime," said one guard. His voice sounded like music, but cold music. "Follow me. Do not touch anything. Do not speak unless spoken to." Marcus looked at his team. They were all soldiers who had fought many wars. Each one had scars and hard eyes. They had worked together for 5 years, taking jobs that other people would not take. But this job was different. This time they were not just fighting for money. The guard led them through halls made of crystal and gold. Everything was clean and perfect. Paintings of alien faces hung on the walls. These must be the royal family, Marcus thought. The aliens in the paintings had the same glowing skin but wore crowns made of light. Other Altarians stopped to stare at the humans as they walked past. Some covered their faces with their hands. Others whispered to each other in their musical language. A few young ones pointed before their parents pulled them away. "They think we smell bad," whispered Jackson, one of Marcus's soldiers. "Probably do," Marcus replied quietly. "Been in space for 2 weeks." They reached huge doors covered in gems. 2 guards opened them slowly. Inside was the biggest room Marcus had ever seen. The ceiling was so high he could not see the top. Hundreds of Altarians stood in rows, all wearing expensive clothes. At the far end sat a throne made of white stone. On the throne sat the queen. She was young for a ruler, maybe 30 in human years. Her skin glowed brighter than the others, like starlight underwater. She wore a simple silver dress and a crown that looked like frozen lightning. Her eyes were the color of deep blue ocean. But what caught Marcus's attention was how tired she looked. Even with all her beauty and power, she carried herself like someone who had not slept in days. "Humans," called out an old Altarian standing next to the throne. "You stand before Queen Zephyra, ruler of the Altarian Empire. Bow." Marcus and his team stayed standing straight. They did not bow. The room went silent. Several guards moved their hands to their weapons. The old Altarian's face turned dark. "We do not bow to anyone we have not served," Marcus said in a clear voice. "But we will show respect to those who have earned it." He placed his right hand over his heart and nodded his head slightly. His team did the same. It was the human military salute. Queen Zephyra leaned forward on her throne. "Interesting," she said. Her voice was softer than the others, but it carried across the huge room. "You refuse to bow but offer respect. Tell me the difference." "Bowing means you own us," Marcus answered. "Respect means we choose to honor you. We came here to fight for your people, not to be your slaves." More whispers filled the room. The old Altarian looked angry. "You dare speak such words to our queen?" But Queen Zephyra raised her hand for silence. "What is your name, human?" "Commander Marcus Kane, your majesty. These are my soldiers. We call ourselves Kane's Company." "Commander Kane," she said, standing up from her throne. "My advisors tell me your people are barbarians. They say humans are violent and cannot be trusted. They wanted to hire the Zephyrian Guard instead." "The Zephyrian Guard wants too much money and will run when things get hard," said the old advisor. "But these humans are cheap." Marcus felt his anger rise but kept his face calm. "We are not cheap, sir. We are honest. We tell you the truth about what we can do. We do not make promises we cannot keep." Queen Zephyra walked down the steps from her throne. The guards moved to protect her, but she waved them away. She stopped right in front of Marcus, looking up at him. He was almost a foot shorter than her, but somehow he did not feel small. "The Vorth Collective has attacked 3 of our border worlds," she said quietly. "They killed everyone they found. Men, women, children. They want to destroy us completely." "How many ships do they have?" Marcus asked. "Our scouts count at least 300. "How many do you have?" The queen looked sad. 50 that can fight, maybe 60 if we use the old ones." Marcus did not change his expression. "What about the world you want us to defend?" "Kepler 7. It has important mines. If the Vorth take it, They will have enough resources to build 1,000 more ships. How many people live there? 2 million. Marcus looked at his 11 soldiers. Each one nodded slightly. They understood what this meant. 12 humans against 300 ships. 2 million lives depending on them. "We will take the job," Marcus said. The old advisor laughed. 12 humans against the entire Vorth fleet. This is madness. "Maybe," Marcus said, "but we gave our word to come here and fight. Humans do not break their word." Queen Zephyr stared at him for a long moment. "Why? You could leave now. Take the payment we already gave you and go somewhere safe." Marcus thought about this question. He had been asked it many times before. Why did humans fight impossible battles? Why did they stand when others would run? "Because someone has to," he said finally. "Because those 2 million people on Kepler 7 have families. They have children who want to grow up. They have dreams. If we do not fight for them, who will?" For the first time since they arrived, Queen Zephyr smiled. It was small, but it was real. "Very well, Commander Kane. You and your soldiers will leave for Kepler 7 tomorrow. May the stars watch over you." "We do not need the stars, Your Majesty," Marcus said. "We have each other. That is enough." As they left the throne room, Marcus heard Queen Zephyr talking quietly to her advisor. "Perhaps," she said, "we have found something more valuable than soldiers. Perhaps we have found allies." The mining world of Kepler 7 looked like a dead rock from space. Brown dirt, gray mountains, and deep holes where machines had pulled metal from the ground for hundreds of years. But Marcus could see why it was important. The scanners on their ship showed veins of rare metals running through the planet like blood vessels. "Not much to look at," said Rodriguez, checking his rifle. "But I guess we are not here for the view." Marcus studied the defense plans on his tablet. The Altarian military had built some walls and gun towers around the main mining station. It was not much, but it would have to do. "Jackson, take your team to the North Tower. Chen, you get the South. I will take the command center." "What about the civilians?" asked Lopez, their youngest soldier. "Transport ships are coming to take them away," Marcus said. "Our job is to buy them time to escape." The evacuation had already started when they landed. Long lines of Altarian families walked toward the landing pads, carrying whatever they could. Their crystal skin was dull with fear. Children cried while their parents looked up at the sky, waiting for death to fall from the stars. Marcus set up his command post in the main building. Through the windows, he could watch his soldiers check their weapons and prepare their positions. These were good men and women. They had fought beside him on 12 different worlds. Some had families waiting for them. Others, like Marcus, had only their unit. The first alarm came 2 hours later. "Contact." Jackson's voice crackled over the radio. 3 scout ships coming in fast from the north. Marcus grabbed his binoculars. The Vorth ships were ugly things, black metal covered with spikes and guns. They flew low over the mining station, studying the defenses. Through his scope, Marcus could see the Vorth pilots in their cockpits. They looked like giant insects with 4 arms and glowing red eyes. "Let them look," Marcus said into his radio. "Do not fire until I give the order." The scout ships circled once more, and then flew away. Marcus checked his watch. The main attack would come soon. He was right. The ground shook 20 minutes later as the Vorth fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Marcus counted the ships as they appeared against the brown sky. 50, 70, 100. More kept coming. "Holy hell," whispered Chen over the radio. "There are too many of them." Marcus keyed his radio for all channels. "Listen up, everyone. I know what you are thinking. I know this looks bad. But remember why we are here. 2 million people are counting on us. The evacuation ships need 6 more hours to get everyone out." He paused, looking at the enemy fleet growing larger in the sky. "We are going to give them 6 hours. Whatever it takes. Kane's company does not run. Kane's company does not quit. We hold the line." "Yes, sir," came back 12 voices. The first wave hit the North Tower. Vorth fighters screamed down from the sky, firing bright green energy bolts. Jackson's team fired back with everything they had. One enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire, then another, but more kept coming. Marcus ran to help when he heard Jackson scream over the radio. He found the sergeant lying behind a broken wall, his leg twisted at a bad angle. Green blood from a Vorth soldier nearby showed that Jackson had not gone down without a fight. "How bad?" Marcus asked, checking the wound. Bad enough, Jackson gasped, but not dead yet. Help me to that gun tower. I can still shoot. Marcus helped him up the ladder. Jackson took position behind the big gun and started firing at the next wave of attackers. His face was pale, but his hands were steady. The battle went on for hours. One by one, Marcus lost his people. Chen died when a Vorth bomb destroyed the South Tower. She had stayed at her post even when the buildings started falling down, giving covering fire so the civilians could reach the transport ships. Rodriguez and Martinez got surrounded while defending the fuel depot. Marcus heard them singing an old Earth song over the radio before their signals went quiet. By sunset, only 6 humans were left alive. Marcus gathered the survivors in the command bunker. Turner was wounded in the arm. Kim had burns on her face. Lopez was shaking from shock, but still held his rifle ready. The good news is we bought them 4 hours, Marcus said, reloading his pistol. The bad news is we need 2 more. How many ships got away? Asked Turner. Marcus checked his tablet. 60%. 1.2 million people safe. That leaves 800,000 still here, Kim said. Yes, the last ships are loading now, but the Vorth know what we are doing. They are going to hit us with everything they have. Turner laughed, but it was not a happy sound. 12 of us against 300 ships. The odds just keep getting better. We knew this was a one-way trip when we took the job, Marcus said. The question is, do we die here like soldiers, or do we make it count? The radio crackled. It was the evacuation fleet commander. Kane's company, this is Transport Leader Vex. We need 90 more minutes to finish loading. Can you hold? Marcus looked at his remaining soldiers. They were tired, hurt, and scared. But when he asked with his eyes, each one nodded. We will hold, Marcus said into the radio. The final Vorth attack came like thunder. The sky turned black with ships. Energy bolts lit up the night like deadly fireworks. The ground shook as bombs fell like rain. Turner died defending the ammunition storage. Kim and Lopez got killed when their bunker took a direct hit. Jackson finally went quiet after holding the gun tower for 8 hours with a broken leg. Marcus found himself alone in the command center as the last transport ship lifted off. Through his broken windows, he could see it climbing toward the stars, carrying the final group of refugees to safety. His radio buzzed. Commander Kane, this is Queen Zephyra. Marcus was surprised to hear her voice. Your Majesty, you should not be on this frequency. The Vorth might track it. I do not care, she said, and her voice was shaking. I wanted to tell you what you have done here. No words can. We did our job, Marcus said simply. He was bleeding from a dozen cuts and could barely stand. The people are safe. That is what matters. The fleet is withdrawing from the system. Our generals say there is no point in more fighting. Marcus looked out at the Vorth ships landing around his position. Hundreds of enemy soldiers were forming up to attack his building. Probably a smart choice. You saved who you could, but not you. That was never part of the deal. Marcus heard footsteps outside. The Vorth were coming. He checked his rifle. Still had ammunition. Still had fight left in him. Commander, Queen Zephyra said softly, Thank you. Thank you for showing us what honor really means. Marcus smiled as he took aim at the door. Just remember us, Your Majesty. Remember that some people keep their promises. The door exploded inward, and the Vorth soldiers rushed in. Marcus started shooting. 3 days later, a weak signal reached the Altarian fleet. It was coming from Kepler 7. Someone was still alive down there. Someone was still fighting. Someone was still holding the line. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. Everything hurt. His left arm was wrapped in cloth torn from a Vorth uniform. Blood had dried on his face where shrapnel had cut him. He was lying behind an overturned table in what used to be the command center. The shooting had stopped. He listened carefully. Outside, he could hear Vorth voices talking in their clicking language. They thought he was dead. Good. Let them think that. Marcus crawled to his equipment bag and pulled out his tablet. The screen was cracked, but still working. He connected it to the emergency transmitter hidden in the basement. If he was quiet, he might be able to send a signal without them noticing. The tablet showed a map of the mining complex. Red dots marked where Vorth soldiers were moving. There were hundreds of them spread out through the buildings. But they had made a mistake. They were not watching the old communication tower on the east side, the tower that controlled all radio traffic in this system. If Marcus could reach that tower and hold it, he could jam their communications. Without coordination, their fleet would be much less dangerous. But getting there meant crossing half a mile of open ground. While wounded, he had no choice. Marcus gathered what weapons he could find. His rifle was broken, but he had a pistol and 6 clips of ammunition. He also picked up a Vorth energy weapon from one of the soldiers he had killed. The alien gun felt wrong in his hands, but it worked. He waited until the alien voices moved away, then slipped out through a hole in the wall. The mining complex looked like a war zone. Broken buildings and smoking craters covered the ground. Dead Vorth soldiers lay next to destroyed human equipment. Marcus felt a sharp pain in his chest when he saw Jackson's body still at his gun position. The sergeant had died protecting people he had never met. Marcus moved carefully from cover to cover. His wounded arm made climbing difficult, but anger kept him moving. These aliens had killed his friends. They had murdered innocent civilians on other worlds. They thought they could destroy anyone they wanted. They were wrong. It took him 2 hours to reach the communication tower. The Vorth had posted only 4 guards there. Marcus watched them from behind a pile of mining equipment. They were relaxed, talking among themselves. They thought the battle was over. Marcus attacked fast and quiet. He used his knife on the first 2 before they could shout. The third one reached for his weapon, but Marcus shot him with the Vorth energy gun. The 4th guard ran toward the main camp, but Marcus's pistol dropped him before he could warn anyone. Inside the tower, Marcus found the main computer still working. The Vorth had not bothered to shut it down. They probably did not understand human technology well enough to know what it did. Marcus started typing commands into the system. Years ago, he had been a communications specialist in the Earth military. He knew how to turn a simple radio tower into a weapon. Within minutes, he had the tower sending out interference signals on all Vorth frequencies. Their fleet would not be able to talk to each other or coordinate attacks. Their ground forces would be confused and scattered. But the best part was that the tower also connected to the main communication network. Marcus could send messages anywhere in the galaxy. He opened a channel to the Altarian fleet. "This is Commander Kane calling any Altarian vessel. Please respond." Static filled his headphones for a long moment. Then a familiar voice answered. "Commander Kane, this is Queen Zephyra. We thought you were dead." "Not yet, Your Majesty. A little beaten up, but still fighting." "How is this possible? Our sensors showed the entire base was destroyed." Marcus looked out the tower window at the Vorth soldiers running around in confusion. Without their radios, they could not find where the interference was coming from. "You cannot kill someone who refuses to die," he said. "I have control of the communication tower now. The Vorth fleet cannot coordinate their attacks. This is your chance to hit them while they are scattered." There was a long pause. When Queen Zephyra spoke again, her voice was different, stronger. "Our military leaders say it is too dangerous. They want to retreat to the core worlds and build defenses there." "That is a mistake," Marcus said. "If you let the Vorth take this system, they will have all the metals they need to build a bigger fleet. Then they will be too strong to stop." "I know that, but my generals are afraid. We have not fought a real war in 300 years. My people have forgotten how to be brave." Marcus heard explosions outside. The Vorth were getting angry about their lost communications. They were bringing up heavy weapons to search for him. "Your Majesty, can I tell you something about humans?" "Of course. We have a saying on Earth. The only way to stop a bully is to hit him back. It does not matter if he is bigger or stronger. If you show fear, he will never leave you alone." "But what if you lose? What if fighting back just makes things worse?" Marcus checked his ammunition, still had 4 clips left. "Then you lose standing up instead of on your knees. You show your children that some things are worth dying for. You prove that freedom is not free." An energy bolt hit the tower, shaking the whole building. The Vorth had found him. "I have to go," Marcus said. "They are attacking my position." "Commander, wait, tell me. Why are you doing this? Why do you keep fighting when you know you cannot win?" Marcus thought about that question while he moved to the window. Below, Vorth soldiers were setting up a big gun aimed at his tower. "Because someone has to," he said finally. "Because if I do not stand here, if I do not hold this line, then who will? Your people are counting on me. They trusted me to protect them. I will not let them down, even if it costs you everything. Especially then. That is what makes it matter." The building shook again as another energy blast hit the wall. Cracks appeared in the concrete around Marcus. Your Majesty, I need to ask you something. Are you going to retreat to your core worlds and wait for the Vorth to get stronger? Or are you going to fight for your people? Queen Zephyra was quiet for a long time. Marcus could hear voices in the background, probably her advisors telling her to be careful. Commander Kane, she said at last, you're one human against an entire army. You should be dead 10 times over. You should have run away days ago. But you are still there, still fighting, still protecting people you have never met. How? Marcus smiled as he aimed his rifle at the Vorth soldiers below. Because humans do not quit, Your Majesty. We do not know how. He pulled the trigger and watched a Vorth soldier fall. The others looked up at the tower and started shooting back. I have to fight now, Marcus said into his radio. But remember what I said. Sometimes the only way to save your people is to risk everything for them. The communication went quiet, except for static. Marcus hoped his words had made a difference. He hoped Queen Zephyra would find the courage her people needed. Then he forgot about everything except the battle. The Vorth were coming up the tower stairs. Marcus could hear their claws clicking on the metal steps. He had work to do. Queen Zephyra stood in the war room staring at the star map. Red lights marked Vorth positions throughout the system. Blue lights showed her own fleet, retreating toward the safety of the core worlds. One small green dot blinked on the planet Kepler-7, showing where Marcus Kane was still sending his signal. Your Majesty, said General Varix, her chief military advisor, we must leave this system immediately. The human is already dead. We are just wasting time. The signal is still transmitting, Zephyra replied without turning around. It could be automatic, a machine sending the same message over and over. No, I have been listening to the reports. He changes his jamming frequencies every few hours. He adapts to what the Vorth are doing. Marcus Kane is alive, and he is still fighting. Admiral Nexus, commander of the Royal Fleet, stepped forward. Even if that is true, Your Majesty, we cannot risk the entire fleet to save one human mercenary. It would be suicide. Zephyra finally turned to face her advisors. One human mercenary who has been holding off 300 Vorth ships for 7 days. One human who has disrupted their entire invasion plan by himself. It does not matter, General Varix said firmly. Our duty is to protect the Empire, not chase after impossible rescue missions. Our duty, Zephyra said in a cold voice, is to protect those who protect us. This human bled for our people. He watched his friends die for our civilians, and now you want to abandon him. He knew the risks when he took the job, Admiral Nexus replied. He was paid to fight. This is what soldiers do. Zephyra walked to the communication panel and pressed a button. Marcus Kane's voice filled the room, tired but still strong. Altarian Fleet, this is Kane. Vorth reinforcements are arriving in Sector 7. Recommend you hit their supply ships while they are docking. They are vulnerable for the next 2 hours. The advisors looked uncomfortable. The human was still giving them tactical advice, even while fighting for his life. He was not paid enough for this, Zephyra said quietly. No one could be paid enough for this. He is doing it because it is right, because he gave his word. She pressed another button. Commander Kane, this is Queen Zephyra. Your Majesty, good to hear your voice. How is the evacuation going? All civilians are safe. Your sacrifice saved 2 million lives. Good. That makes it worth it. There was a pause. Your Majesty, you should know the Vorth are planning something big. They are moving their main fleet into attack position. If you have any ships left in this area, now would be a good time for them to leave. General Varix nodded. You see, even he is telling us to retreat. No, Zephyr said. He is warning us about danger. That is different. She keyed the communicator again. Commander Kane, what if we brought reinforcements? Could we break the Vorth blockade? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was serious. Your Majesty, I appreciate the thought, but you have 60 ships. They have 300. The numbers do not work. What if we had more ships? From where? You told me this was your entire military fleet. Zephyr smiled for the first time in days. The military fleet? Yes. But what about civilian ships? Cargo haulers, passenger transports, mining vessels, ships with people who want to fight. Are you talking about using untrained civilians against the Vorth? That is crazy. Is it more crazy than one human holding off an entire invasion fleet? Marcus laughed, but it sounded painful. You have a point there, But civilian ships do not have weapons. They have engines. They have mass. Sometimes that is enough. General Varix looked horrified. Your Majesty, you cannot be serious. We cannot ask civilians to throw their lives away on a hopeless mission. I am not asking, Zephyra said firmly. I am leading. She turned to address the entire war room. Send out a call to every ship in the fleet, military and civilian. Anyone who wants to join a rescue mission to save Commander Kane and strike back at the Vorth. Your Majesty, Admiral Nexus protested. If you lead this mission personally and something happens to you, the Empire will have no ruler. If I do not lead this mission, Zephyra replied, the Empire will have no honor, and a civilization without honor is already dead. The response surprised everyone. Within 6 hours, over 400 ships had answered the call. Not just military vessels, but cargo ships, passenger liners, even small personal craft. Altarian civilians who had never fought before volunteered to crew weapons and serve as gunners. As the makeshift fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Zephyra took personal command from her flagship. She had never led a battle before, but she had been studying Marcus Kane's tactical reports for days. She was learning to think like a human warrior. All ships, this is Queen Zephyra, she announced over the fleet communication system. Today we fight not just for victory, but for something more important. We fight to prove that honor still means something. We fight to show that we do not abandon those who sacrifice for us. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler-7 system like an avalanche of stars. The Vorth fleet was caught completely by surprise. They had been focused on the planet below, trying to find and kill the troublesome human in the communication tower. All ships attack pattern Kane 7, Zephyra ordered, using a tactic Marcus had described in one of his reports. The Altarian fleet split into small groups and hit the Vorth from 6 different directions at once. Civilian cargo ships rammed into enemy vessels while military ships provided covering fire. It was chaotic and dangerous, but it worked. The battle was fierce. Many Altarian ships were destroyed, and hundreds of brave volunteers died in the fighting. But for the first time since the war began, the Altarians were winning. Within 4 hours, the Vorth fleet was either destroyed or retreating. Queen Zephyra's flagship landed on Kepler-7 along with a company of Royal Marines. They found Marcus Kane unconscious on the floor of the communication tower. He was covered in blood and barely breathing, but his hand was still gripping his rifle. Around him lay the bodies of dozens of Vorth soldiers who had tried to take his position. Queen Zephyra knelt beside him personally, checking his pulse. Her royal physicians immediately went to work treating his wounds. Marcus opened his eyes slowly and saw her face looking down at him. Your Majesty, he whispered, what are you doing here? Keeping my promise, she replied softly. No one fights alone, not anymore. Marcus tried to sit up, but she gently pushed him back down. The communications tower, I had to hold it. You did hold it. The Vorth fleet is destroyed. Your jamming signals helped us win the battle. My team, are they? Zephyra's face grew sad. I am sorry, Commander. You are the only survivor. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, they were filled with pain, but also something else. Pride. They died well, he said quietly. They died protecting innocent people. That is all any soldier can ask for. Yes, Zephyra agreed. They died like heroes. But you, Commander Kane, you lived like one, and that is much harder. As the medical team prepared to move Marcus to the ship, Queen Zephyra made a decision that would change both their civilizations forever. Commander Kane, she said formally, I hereby claim you as my personal champion and protector. You have earned the right to stand at my side as an equal. Marcus looked confused. Your Majesty, I do not understand. You will, she said with a smile. You taught my people how to fight. Now let me teach you how to be honored. The rescue fleet lifted off from Kepler-7, carrying with them not just a wounded human warrior, but proof that courage was contagious. The Altarians had remembered how to be brave. Marcus Kane woke up in a bed softer than clouds. Sunlight streamed through tall windows made of crystal that split the light into rainbow colors across white walls. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then the pain in his left arm reminded him that everything was real. He was in the royal palace on Altair Prime. A young Altarian woman in blue robes sat in a chair beside his bed. When she saw him open his eyes, she quickly pressed a button on the wall. "You are awake," she said, in careful English. "I am Healer Lisa. How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a transport ship," Marcus replied, trying to sit up. His body felt weak and strange. "How long was I out?" 12 days. Your wounds were very serious. We had to rebuild parts of your arm with synthetic bone." Marcus flexed his fingers. They worked, but felt different. "Will it heal completely?" "Yes, but it will take time. The Queen insisted on the best treatment available." Before Marcus could ask more questions, the door opened. Queen Zephyra entered, wearing simple white robes instead of her royal dress. She looked tired, but happy. "Commander Kane," she said warmly, "welcome back to the living." "Your Majesty." Marcus started to get out of bed, but she gestured for him to stay. "None of that. You are still recovering." She sat in another chair and leaned forward. "How much do you remember?" "Everything up to when you found me in the tower. After that, things get fuzzy." Queen Zephyra nodded. "You were unconscious for most of the trip back, but you talked in your sleep. You kept giving orders to your soldiers, telling them to hold their positions." Marcus felt a sharp pain that had nothing to do with his wounds. "They are all dead, are they not? Jackson, Chen, Rodriguez, all of them." "Yes, I am deeply sorry for your loss." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Queen Zephyra waited patiently while he processed his grief. "They were good soldiers," he finally said. "They deserved better than dying on some alien world for people they never met." "They died protecting 2 million innocent lives," Queen Zephyra replied gently. "In Altarian culture, there is no higher honor. Their names will be remembered forever." "What about the war? Did the Vorth give up?" Queen Zephyra smiled. "The war is over. After we destroyed their fleet at Kepler 7, the Vorth Council agreed to peace talks. Apparently, they were impressed by our new fighting spirit. They did not expect soft Altarians to fight with such courage." "Your people were always brave," Marcus said. "They just needed to remember it." "Yes, and you showed us how." "The Battle of Kepler 7 changed everything. For the first time in centuries, my people stood up and fought for what they believed in. Civilian volunteers, military officers, even nobility joined the fight. You inspired an entire civilization." Marcus looked uncomfortable with the praise. "I was just doing my job." "No, Commander, you did much more than that." Queen Zephyra stood up and walked to the window. "In 3 days, there will be a ceremony in the throne room. Representatives from 50 worlds will attend. I'm going to formally claim you as my champion." "I do not understand what that means." "It means you will become part of the royal family. You will have lands, titles, and position in the government. More importantly, you will help me rebuild our military using human tactics and philosophy." Marcus stared at her. "Your Majesty, I am honored, but I am just a soldier. I do not know anything about politics or ruling people. You know about leadership. You know about sacrifice. You know about making hard choices when lives depend on you. Those are the most important skills any ruler can have." She turned back to face him. "Marcus, my people have been at peace for so long that we forgot what courage looks like. We became weak and afraid. But watching you fight, seeing how you never gave up even when everything was hopeless, reminded us who we used to be." "What about your advisors? They did not seem to like me much." Queen Zephyra laughed. "General Varix resigned in protest. He said he could not serve under a queen who made decisions based on honor instead of logic. Admiral Nexus has requested transfer to a desk job." "That does not sound good." "On the contrary, it is excellent. I have new advisors now. Young officers who fought at Kepler 7. People who understand that sometimes the right choice is not the safe choice." Marcus was quiet for a moment, thinking about everything she had said. "Your Majesty, if I accept this position, I have conditions." "Name them." "First, I want a memorial built for my soldiers, not just their names on a wall, but a real monument that tells their story." "Agreed. What else?" "Second, any human soldiers who want to serve in your military get full citizenship and equal treatment with Altarian troops." "That is already being arranged. We have requests from 300 human mercenary units who want to join us." "Third, I want to establish a training academy, somewhere we can teach young Altarians and humans to fight together, to understand each other's strengths." Queen Zephyra smiled. "I was hoping you would suggest that. I have already picked out a location." Marcus nodded slowly. "Then I accept. 3 days later, the throne room was packed with representatives from across the galaxy. Humans, Altarians, and dozens of other species had come to witness the ceremony. Marcus stood before the throne wearing a new uniform that combined human military style with Altarian royal colors. Queen Zephyra rose from her throne and began the ancient ritual of claiming. "Let all the galaxy know," her voice rang out across the great hall, "that this human has shown virtues that shame our own nobility." Marcus Kane bled for strangers. He died for the innocent. He held the line when all hope was lost. She drew an ancient sword made of crystallized starlight and touched it to Marcus's shoulders. "I claim you, Marcus Kane, as Knight Champion of the Realm. You are bound to my service not by coin or contract, but by honor and mutual respect. Rise, Sir Marcus, Blood Knight of Altair." Marcus stood and turned to face the crowd. Among the alien faces, he saw several humans wearing new Altarian military uniforms, former mercenaries who had decided to stay and serve. Some of them had tears in their eyes. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Marcus said, clearly. "I pledge my service to the Altarian people and to the cause of protecting the innocent everywhere." The ceremony ended with a feast that lasted until dawn, but Marcus found himself stepping outside onto a balcony to think about his lost friends. Queen Zephyra joined him there as the twin suns rose over the Crystal City. "Any regrets?" she asked. Marcus thought about Jackson's jokes, Chen's quiet competence, Rodriguez's terrible singing. He would miss them forever. "No regrets," he said finally. "We did what we came here to do. We kept our promise. And now you have a new promise to keep." "Yes, to help build something better. To make sure what happened at Kepler 7 never happens again." Queen Zephyra stood beside him in comfortable silence as they watched the city wake up. In the streets below, human and Altarian children played together while their parents prepared for another day of peace. "The galaxy is changing," she said quietly. "Other species are watching what we have accomplished together. Some are sending ambassadors, others are asking for military advisors. Good, maybe we can teach them what you taught me." "What did I teach you?" Marcus smiled. "That honor is not something you are born with. It is something you choose, every day, even when it costs you everything." "Especially then," Queen Zephyra agreed. 6 months later, the first class graduated from the Kane Military Academy. 50 young soldiers, half human and half Altarian, trained to fight together and protect those who could not protect themselves. Their motto, carved above the entrance in both languages, read, "We hold the line." Marcus watched the graduation ceremony with pride. His friends were gone, but their sacrifice had meant something. It had changed the galaxy for the better, and sometimes that was all any soldier could ask for.